Hello and welcome to the second episode of Lions Den. I'm Malcolm Kellner.
I'm Annie Carroll.
I'm Harris Rubenstein.
And of course, I'm Jack Ross.
Now, there have been plenty of events happening in the sphere of sports here at Emerson the past week. We are so excited to share them with you tonight.
Well, without further ado, let's get the upcoming sports news and we have in stock for you today.
All right, firstly, we're going to catch up with John Newton, our national sports correspondent, see what he's got to say about the upcoming NHL preview, as well as his predictions for the season.
And afterwards, we will have a studio interview with the assistant volleyball coach, Ryan Burning, to find out his experience and his motivations here at Emerson.
Also, we're going to catch up with Song Park with our on-location sports report at the men's basketball game. He will speak to John Geary and Tyson Hallowell as they head into the 2015-2016 season.
We will have all that and more tonight on Lions Den. The Lady Lions volleyball team took on Simmons in a non-conference match at home. Would they get back in the winning column after 3 straight losses? We started off in the third set, lines up 2-0. Nice 3-hit possession by Emerson. Jules Augustine, our own producer, pounds home the kill. Later in the set was Simmons serving at some give-and-go action. Farrah Cohen digs, Elaine Nichols sets, and Cohen kills. Nichols is on the sideline. She must be injured. Later on, we've got the ball on Simmons' side, hit around by some players I don't know and frankly don't care to know. Later, that's the last set there. Mara Brennan serving, and there's no return by Simmons. That's all she wrote. Emerson wins 3-0, sweeping Simmons.
Lions taking on Emmanuel. First half, Emmanuel tries to clear the ball, but the ball gets turned over. Emerson goes ahead and crosses it into the box. Goalie makes a nice little save off the initial header, but Dan Knight pounds in the cheeky little header. Jump to the second half. Emerson with the goal kick. And after some bumbling around, the ball ends up on the feet of Alex Desolinaire and makes a nice little pass there down the side, takes a nice shot, and it goes right over the bar. Just missed the top right corner there, but Emerson has it thrown in. Later in the game, a little confusion to start off here, not really knowing where the ball is supposed to go, but he throws it right in. Watch this from Duncan Bociccio. He already has 1 goal in this game. The ball seems to like him more than that friend that's really too clingy. Can't seem to get away from the ball, but he puts in his second of the game. Emerson Lions takes it 3-0 against Emmanuel.
Yes, sir.
Men's soccer versus Wheaton. It was a battle of the Lions on Saturday as the Emerson team took on the Wheaton College Lions. And at points in the game, Emerson had good pressure. There's a cross to the box that looked good, but Emerson then got called for a penalty, and Samir and Tommy Higgins down the sideline with some good combination passing, and it got turned over. But then there was also this Wheaton free kick that was later challenged by Carter Bowers. Right here, you're going to see the Wheaton player is going to kick it right into the box, and Carter Bowers is going to come out and just challenge a player. And finally, he's going to fall, and he's going to get the call from the ref, but it would be too short, and Emerson would fall to Wheaton 6-2.
Never liked Wheaton much.
All right, Lady Lions here. Soccer taking on Smith College. Start things off early as Alyssa Giannone is going to get a pass here, and she spins off the defender, taking down the sideline, but unfortunately, she's going to lose control of the ball, which does go out of bounds and ends up under Smith control. Now we go later in the game. It's Kiri Venturi vying for a ball in the air, but she loses the battle to Annabelle Calhoun of Smith, who heads it right back to Elizabeth Noble of the Lions. Noble's going to try to get it to captain Natalie Benjamin, but Smith's Jordan Isaacs is going to get a foot on it and knock it away to teammate Gigi Ross. She passes to Jackie Foodie, moving towards the attacking third, but the physical Emerson defense forces it backward. Speaking of that physical defense, let's look at this hit here on Maya McCann, who's streaking down the sideline. She goes to pass, and Jess Frost lays her out. Emerson women would go on to win 4-0. Excuse me.
Women's volleyball, believe it or not, guys, is coming to the end of their season. After a few tough losses to Wheaton and Babson in 5 sets by themselves, the playoffs seem to be further out of reach than ever. But with Coast Guard, MIT, and Clark games coming up, can the Lions pick themselves up at the end of the season and complete for the playoffs, guys? What do we think?
Well, Harris, it's definitely going to be tough. I mean, these are 3 challenging conference games in a row. MIT, probably the best team in the conference. Clark, up there, top 5. Coast Guard, top 5 for sure. I mean, Emerson is really going to have to try to. I mean, the Coast Guard game is a must-win game, and then the Clark game is probably a must-win game too if they want any shot at making the top 7 into the playoffs. What do you guys think they need to do?
I think that the team just really needs to communicate with one another. I think there's good captain leadership. Julie Frendak, she's a senior captain. I think she's really pulling her weight for the team. I think
huge player this season.
And you can't
Exactly.
forget about Jules Augustine, who works for this show, one of the captains as well.
Yep.
Pivotal player.
She's been fantastic. She just is kills as far as the eye can see.
She needs to take over these next few games.
She does. She's got to
Ball
step it up
just
to another
flowing
level.
through her. No one hits the ball harder.
And especially,
Absolutely.
we've heard about the injury to freshman Farrah Cohen, one of their outside hitters. She's been fantastic for them all season, but that hip flexor injury might hurt her a little bit this
Partial
year.
tears in the
So they're
ligaments
gonna-
there in her hip.
They're going to need some
She's
depth.
she's very important. I mean, she's a freshman, but she plays like she's a senior.
Powerhouse Annie Hall nursing a sore back as well. She's getting, the Emerson team hit with some unfortunate injuries. Just the timing is so poor, really, for this team. But you got to hope that we've heard of teams playing down to their competition, that the Lady Lions can really play up to their competition and take home at least 2 out of 3 of these games.
I think they can do it. I really do, because the talent is there. Yes, the timing's a little unfortunate with the injuries right now, but they are a pretty deep team. They have players that can come off the bench. I mean, we've seen when Elaine Nichols doesn't play. Mara Brennan, she comes in, plays maybe
Brennan,
just
who
as
we had
well.
on the show last
Just
week,
a freshman.
great substitute off the bench.
Yeah, so they've got a lot of depth, a lot of talent. It's just, like you said, whether they can play up to the
And
competition.
I think the key matchup is them going into the Coast Guard this week to take on that really tough Coast Guard team. And I think this really is the defining moment of their season. And I think they're going to play up to the competition, and I really hope they do.
So guys, before we wrap it up and send it over to John, give me your predictions. Do we think the Emerson College Lions will make the playoffs? Jack?
I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they take this game against Coast Guard and the game against Clark.
Annie?
Yep, I think they'll definitely make the playoffs. They just work together and get that win at Coast Guard. It's a hard environment to play in, very stressful, but I think they can do it.
Malcolm?
Why not be optimistic, Harris? Yes, they will make the playoffs.
Fantastic, and I also agree. I think they'll squeak into the playoffs just in the last game of the season, but let's check in with John and see what's happening with
across
our
the
national
board.
sports
Yeah,
news.
squeak on in.
Big time.
The NHL regular season is underway, and this is the Lions Den NHL preview. After winning the Stanley Cup last year, the Chicago Blackhawks have entered the season with some losses, but not just by score. The notable losses of Patrick Shaw, Brandon Saad, and Johnny Oduya. The Blackhawks look to continue the Cup hunt with new players Artemi Panarin, Artem and Simonov, and Trevor Daley. The Central, which features the Blackhawks, strives to continue to be the best division in hockey, but has a new challenge from the Metropolitan Division, featuring the newly improved Rangers, Islanders, Penguins, and Blue Jackets, all looking for improved results. With Connor McDavid, Noah Hannafan, and Jack Eichel expected to be future All-Stars, either of them could take home the Calder Trophy for Best Rookie of the Year, or it could come from a phenomenon like Artemi Panarin and Oscar Lindberg. And of course, the Bruins look to make the playoffs after finishing 9th and failing to qualify for the playoffs last season. But the biggest stories in hockey this year will be the teams that just sneak in the top 8 within the conference. Who will be the Cinderella story of the playoffs, like last year's Calgary Flames? And who will be this year's MVP? Will it be a perennial candidate like Sidney Crosby, Steven Stamkos, Alexander Ovechkin, Carey Price? Or will somebody like Zach Parise make the small jump and outplay them all? Here are my predictions. Columbus will not make the playoffs. The Blue Jackets are winless and concede an average of 5 goals a game. That defense is unacceptable and won't allow them to challenge for the top 8. Both New York teams will make the playoffs. The Rangers and the Islanders are playing well, and unlike teams in Columbus, seem to have sturdy defensive lines. Dallas should make the playoffs, but the Stars won't advance past the first round. The Blackhawks and the Wild will each get better as the season progresses, but that doesn't mean Dallas will miss up on the players entirely. Their preseason has been atrocious with a 1-6 record, and they won't be in the second in Central Division for long. They certainly won't be hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup this year. It's going to be a fantastic season, and I'm looking forward to every bit of it.
Well, thank you so much, John. A very
Great stuff
encompassing preview of the NHL season. I can't wait to see my Wild take the NHL by storm this year.
man.
You heard it here first.
Just a warning to any Bruins fans out there, they're not going to be good this year.
Yeah, probably not.
Not great.
Come on.
Not great.
I got a Shaw
Start
jersey.
was
I'm
They
pretty
weren't
bad.
great last year. They did not improve enough in the offseason to warrant, I think, any kind of contention for the playoffs this season. And in my hometown, New Jersey Devils, I think, aren't going to be very good this season either. So we're still hurting over the loss of
Still
Martin
waiting for
Brodeur.
Martin. Exactly.
We'll see what happens. But again, John, thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Today we are very excited to have Emerson's assistant volleyball coach Ryan Burning here in studio with us to discuss his eventful time here at Emerson. Ryan, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Very nice to have you. So Ryan, get right into it with the women's volleyball team. How are they doing, and what's the season been looking like so far?
Well, they've been doing good. A very competitive league that we're in, so we're up and down with a couple teams we played off the start, and then we kind of get a nice winning streak, and then I think we past 4 games we went into 5 set matches, which was really tough. We lost those 3, but I think we learned a lot, came together as a team. Our team culture is actually improving quite a bit after those games. We had a nice victory over Simmons, which came up this past weekend, which is fantastic. Last Thursday, which was fantastic, and we really, I think, really gelling, especially coming into our next matches.
Yeah, so what do you think the team needs to do in order to get off this little losing streak that you guys are on? What are your plans for the future to get a nice win soon?
I would say attention to detail in our practices right now. A little bit more aggressive personalities on the court. We have a good mixture of attack and defense, but the consistency is not quite there yet, and we need one just little push, not much, because we're very talented all around. We have good front row players, good back row players, good servers, phenomenal setters. We just have to kind of put it together. A little bit of team gelling. I know it's a little late, but better late than never.
Yeah.
Mentioned that the push before that. You have a couple tough conference games coming between Coast Guard, MIT, Babson again. Yeah. So and you guys are just on the brink of the playoffs. So what do you think the team needs to do in these next couple conference games to really push them over the edge before the playoffs?
I think we need one person to really step it up on the court when we're playing. Our practices have been extremely competitive the past couple of weeks, which has been fantastic, and it has been kind of trickling over into our games. And I think if we can keep that kind of mentality that we have in practice into our matches, honestly, I don't think we'll lose much, if that. So. Who
would you say your most vocal leader on the court is usually during a game?
It varies. Jules, Augustine is a very vocal leader. We also have Julie. Julie Fendrick is one of our back row defensive specialists. She's pretty vocal as well. I like to think that our setter does a good job of communicating with our hitters and back row players as well. So those 3 tend to stand out to me. I think they can definitely amp it up a little bit more, but they're doing a great job so far.
So if the right chemistry kind of happens and the right wins come along, do you think this team has what it takes to get to a championship and even win?
Oh, I definitely do. If not this year, in the years to come. We have a very young team. We have the talent there. It's just teaching them to play together and learning the game a little bit more. The team culture is still kind of coming around. So I think if not this season, next season for sure. I have high hopes for them, each and every one of them actually. They're all phenomenal players. So
very nice. So talking about team building and whatnot, you yourself are still a current volleyball player, more beach volleyball rather than the gym. So with your being a current player and past player, why did you decide to get into coaching?
Oh, that's good. I love the sport of volleyball. I love the ins and outs, attention to detail, and everything about the sport. And I just want to be around as much as possible. If I'm not playing it, I want to be coaching. And I want to kind of take my passion and put it in somebody, hopefully help them fall in love with the sport as much as I do. So.
What similarities do you really see between beach volleyball and in the court volleyball? Because I know there's a lot of differences, but what are the key similarities, you think?
Similarities, I would say game strategy. You have to be a smart player to win. You have to have good team chemistry, even though there's only 2 players on the beach. You have to work well with one another. It's the same on indoor. You have to have good team chemistry. You have one person on the court that's not pulling their weight. So,
do you think that from your playing time, what do you think you can bring from that playing to Emerson College? Because you are still pretty new at this. So, do you think that chemistry can really apply onto the court with your coaching style?
Oh yeah, I think chemistry, communication is one thing that I like to bring into practices. Kind of understanding where each player is coming from. If something doesn't go right, why? Ask those questions, ask each other. I think the more we communicate, the better we understand one another and where we're coming from, the better we can play together. I just think that's about it on that one.
Yeah. Okay. So just getting back to the Emerson team, who do you think is your biggest rival that you would play against, or the best game that you've had this season, maybe against a hard team?
Ooh, the biggest rival. There's a couple of those. I like playing against the tougher teams in our conference. I would say Springfield's kind of a rival match, even though they're always good. We always I feel like battle them out because I like our chances against the best teams in the conference. Another team that really comes up to me is MIT, who we have not played yet. They're right down the street, and I always enjoy kind of going at them and kind of figuring out what their coach is going to do with their players. And I think the girls really go into the match with high hopes of competing and
like a rise to the occasion type of thing. Yeah, I understand that. That's good.
So usually late in the season, obviously your veterans have been playing very well so far, but who are some younger players on the women's volleyball team right now that have really stepped up this year?
Oh man, our outside hitter, Farrah Cohen, she's really stepping up. She's aggressive tacker, a tenacious defensive player. Communicates pretty well, but she's a young player. She's still learning a lot. Kind of getting used to that collegiate atmosphere. I really enjoy her passion for the game, and I think down the road she's going to be a phenomenal player in years to come. So.
Now, to our understanding, she does have a little bit of an injury. Apparently, a couple of things going on with her hip, a little bit of that. Do you think that's going to affect how your team plays? Do you have a replacement that you can throw in to take over her role? What's going on with that?
That's good. Well, we have depth, which is always good. I don't think it's going to affect the way she plays at all. She's very passionate. She's going to be fine. She's going to still go out there and give it her all. And I don't think it's going to slow her down a bit, honestly. I haven't noticed it yet. Worst case scenario, if that does happen, we do have the beauty of depth. We have a lot of good players that are on the bench. They can definitely step up to the plate and lead, I say, just as much as Farrah, if not better. So.
How do you think the program has grown since your time here?
Well, I think it's grown tremendously. We have a fantastic roster of recruits coming in each year. Very, very passionate players for the team. We've went from the GNAC to the NUMAC while I was here, which is a much more competitive conference as well. So it's changed, but I feel like it's always changing for the better. We're always learning, getting better at what we do. The players are getting better at what they do, and so forth. So,
do you see this the trend that you guys have started with getting better? Do you think that that'll continue as you go on? What do you see for the future of this program? Championships, maybe some playoffs here and there. Do you see a lot of success in the Emerson women's volleyball future?
Oh, I do. Hopefully, we'll make the playoffs this year. I have high hopes for us. If not this year, definitely years to come. There's definitely a good chance for us to make the championship within the next 3 years. I honestly think we have the talent to do that. The biggest part is just bringing it together, team chemistry and so forth. So it's a big part.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us. Right now, we're going to head over to Song Park to see what the men's basketball players are up to.
First of all, thanks for being with us. If you could just give the viewers your names so everybody knows who we're talking to.
Sure, I'm Elizabeth. I'm Sarah.
And I would like to start off by asking, we're well into the volleyball season right now, how we've done and how you think you guys have done as a team. What are some of your thoughts?
I think we've had a really great season so far. I think we've grown a lot as a team since preseason started. Unfortunately, we have had some hard losses, but we've also had some great wins against teams like UMass Boston, and like last night we went to 5 sets with Babson. Unfortunately, we did lose, but in my past years we've lost in 3 sets instead of 5, so we're definitely showing some improvement and some growth, and I still think that playoffs are a real possibility.
What has been the most exciting part of the season, whether it be personal growth or growth as a team? What have you seen that has gotten you really excited?
Well, one of the most exciting moments that sticks out to me was the season opener. It was home against UMass Boston. We just had like a huge crowd. We were so fired up and ready to just take everything we worked for in preseason and really just have it gel on the court and just convert all our hard work into a win. And so it was really nice to come out fresh and beat one of our rivals right off the bat.
What are some of your strengths as a team, whether it be not necessarily physically, but what chemistry-wise and how the girls get along? What are some of your strengths in that aspect? Basically, a little bit more off the court than on the court.
I think that our biggest strength is kind of how we embody being a team off the court. Volleyball certainly doesn't end for any of us when we walk out of the gym. A lot of us live with our teammates. A lot of us have our best friends out here. For Farah, she even played club volleyball in high school with another girl on the team, so they're really close. And kind of having that friendship where we're friends first and teammates second really makes volleyball easier and volleyball a lot more cohesive on the court.
And how have the coaches played a role in both of your growth as a person and as a volleyball player? And what have they focused on with you guys in terms of that growth?
Well, the coaches are great. We have 3 coaches, so it's really nice to get all different perspectives. I think they all bring something different, not only to volleyball, but just like they're all at different places in their lives too, so they have really good, just kind of like worldly advice for us. And I think they serve as like kind of mentors to us here at Emerson. So it's nice, you know, they're great, obviously coaching in practice, but I think we also feel definitely very open, like just talking to them, you know, if we had a bad day or, you know, just want to make small chat. So it's really nice to have that respect and that relationship with your coaches.
Okay. And what do you think, as we wind down the season, what do you think the team could still improve upon as the season goes on?
I think our team could definitely improve on, in volleyball, what we call finishing, which a lot of times we tend to think that kind of after 2 sets up that we've won, we have the match. When really we, in all theory, could have 3 more sets to go, depending on if we break down or we get like overly confident or overly zealous. So I think just kind of finishing and staying at the same consistent level of volleyball throughout the match is really going to be important.
And throughout your college experience, what has volleyball done for you both in terms of growth as a personal, you know, as a person, and, you know, what has it taught you in terms of the art of being part of a team and being part of a unit, because a team's a unit?
Well, for me, just athletics and volleyball is really like an outlet. It's kind of just like a time that we can all come into the gym and just focus on volleyball for those 2 hours, and you can kind of let everything else fall away. Coming in as a freshman, it was super nice to have like an already set little family to rely on. It made the transition into Emerson a lot smoother.
I think as a junior, it's safe to say that volleyball has pointed me in the direction I want to go with my career in a lot more ways than I thought. I think I've really learned how essential it is to me to be part of a team and to work collaboratively and to be able to take constructive criticism or coaching in the case of volleyball, and even constructive criticism from your peers. And so I think that's really kind of taught me that I want to have that for the rest of my life, and I want to have that in my career. So it teaches you a lot more about life off the court than people might think, and really shapes you in ways that are not just exclusive to how you are on the court.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We're going now to our correspondent, Ellie Romano, to give us some helpful Halloween workouts.
Halloween is back again with all its terrifying horror and delicious treats. Here at Lions Den, we've come up with a way for you to celebrate the most frightening holiday of the year without having to sacrifice your health. Here are our approved Hallows Eve exercises to keep the Hershey's off your hips. Let's get started.
All right, you Supergirls, let's start this workout. First, get on your stomach for some superhero planks. Stretch those hands and legs out to the sky and reach for the stars. Do it one more time and there you go. You are an authentic 100% grade A superhero. Feel your inner power. Now let's get spooky for some Nosferatu sit-ups. Feel those fangs and hone those abs. Up once and roar. Up again and you are a fierce undead beauty. And one more time for the glamorous smile. With these pirate rows, you will be the fiercest pirate queen that ever has sailed. Sit down and get ready for the row, moving the oars as you go along. You will have the finest booty on this side of the Atlantic. Keep going, and there you have it. Now let's get ready for some frog burpees. Get those legs up into the air, and hop back down. Right into the sky to catch those flies. Ribbit. Show your pride with some nice rainbow yoga. The most beautiful thing after a storm is to stretch it out. Feel the vibrations of the colors. So peaceful. And now let's get ready for some cat stretches to top it all off. Get down into the cat and cow position to work out that core. And feel the stretch. Then down into a half tortoise to work out the arms and legs. And a cobra to seal the deal. You are the fiercest feline that ever did live. Meow.
That's our Halloween exercise guide for all costumes and workouts. Have a happy Halloween, Emerson, and remember to stay safe. I worked out enough for this, right? I can eat the Oreo. Yeah? Wow. There's always next year.
Thanks, Ellie. I've never been so afraid in my life, but this has been an eventful week here at Emerson College Sports and for national sports.
And you even learned a thing or two about how to work out in your Halloween costume.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for you today at Lions Den. We really hope you enjoyed it.
You can rewatch this episode as well as all of our previous ones on emersonchannel.org. I'm Jack Ross.
I'm Annie Carroll.
I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Harris Rubenstein. Thanks again for watching Lions Den. Have a good night.